Hey guys, welcome back to Recipe Tryouts. Today's recipe we're making is my mother's recipe for chicken and dumplings. This recipe is a mix of recipe that my mother had, that she also got some parts of it from her mom and from my dad's father. So let's have some chicken and dumplings and see what we got. Okay guys, so for this recipe you need an onion, 2 washed and peeled carrots that we're going to chop, and 2 stalks of celery we're going to chop. We will also need a bouillon cube, chicken bouillon cube, a pot, like a soup pot with water about halfway, 3/4 of the way up, and nature seasoning, poultry seasoning, the chicken obviously. And I like to add in a little bit of salt and pepper just in case. But also just a random bag of frozen veggies, just so that it makes a nice hearty soup. But then we're also going to use Bisquik to make the dumplings. So let's get started. First thing we're going to chop up is the carrots. I'm going to cut this end off, cut that end off, and just slice it into circles. They don't have to be even, they don't have to be perfect. Just cut them into circles. Or if you'd rather squares like they have in like soup, like chicken, like actual chicken soup or anything, you can do that, but I'm going circles because they're nice and round and pretty. Now, this end, this end, and this. So that piece was a little thin, so we're going to give that to Leo, who's my constant companion in the kitchen. So this recipe is the same one that I have been I was used to getting as a kid, and that I have also made a couple times as an adult. Not a whole lot, just because it's hot here in Texas, and there's not really a whole lot of time for like cold weather, so there's not a whole lot of time for soups to be made. It's not cold enough, as my darling handy helper husband would say. So apparently he thinks anything above 50, 40, 30 is not cold. But yeah, it very seldomly gets below like 30 here, unless it's a really weird year like we had a couple years ago where it froze over and snowed, and it actually stayed that way for about 4 days. That was super awesome. You'll probably remember hearing about 200 and some odd deaths of people who froze to death because their power wasn't on because the grid failed. Yay, Texas. So, yeah. Okay, let's get a bowl for this. Yes, I just use cereal bowls, soup bowls, whatever you want to call them. Because if you have these, why do you need fancy dancy, like, prep bowls or whatever? Especially if there's not a whole lot of you in the house, or there's not a whole lot of things to prep up. You just use a soup bowl, cereal bowl. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. It's the same kind of materials to use and everything. Okay, now we're gonna slice up our onion. I like to slice it in half here. And then, oh, carrots. Carrot pieces. Try to get off as much of this outer as possible. Screw it. Just gonna cut this guy off too. Now, don't come at me, guys. Y'all know my cutting skills suck. Just because I don't care as much as other people do about how the cutting is. And yes, I've heard all the tips and tricks on, you know, cutting things and making sure you don't cut yourself while you're cutting them. But doesn't matter. Oh, let me get my thing. Hang on. The good old wet napkin, wet paper towel, like at the cutting board. So that way we don't cry. Because Lord knows some of us do enough of that on the daily, or semi-daily, or weekly. So, alright, okay, y'all, we got that first half of the onion cut. Now we're going to move on to the second. And a lot of chefs always say not to cut this root off as a precaution against tearing up, but I got my little trick here, so I'm cutting it right off. And if you have a trick that you use to keep onion from making you tear up, and it works, then you don't have to do anything anybody else says to do that. Obviously, right? Because who wants to do something that that's not going to work for them? Correct? Correct. Now, if only we can get corporations and the government to go along with that, huh, guys? I'm not saying the government's terrible. Just saying that they maybe need to listen to their voters more instead of the people who pay for them to get elected. 'Cause, yeah. If it falls apart, just cut the pieces. No biggie. Right, right. Okay, so that's that part. Now, if you noticed, I don't have my gloves on because right before I started cutting, I washed my hands, and it's just onion. It's not going to hurt anything. Onion doesn't really have a whole lot of germs usually to give you, but you know, every once in a while they have a scare or an outbreak of something. So we'll just okay. Next, yes, y'all, I haphazardly cut stuff just because there's no real reason that I can think of for trying to have everything absolutely perfectly the same. Because, like in life, like in the greater scheme of things, if everything were the same, things wouldn't be interesting, right? Right. That's what we're going to go with today. Don't worry about being different, because it's fun to be different. right? May not be perfect, but if it works for you, do it. Okay, so now, another benefit to having this wet napkin here, so you're gonna just kind of get off any pieces of stuff that was left on your hands. So now we're gonna stick our veggies and our seasonings into the water and turn it on. Okay guys, so we have our pot here with, it's a little over halfway full. So what we're gonna do first is just dump in the vegetables, stick that aside, and get your poultry seasoning, and measure with your heart. Whee! Okay, maybe a little more, yeah. You know, this stuff, poultry seasoning, smells so good. Then we have what's called nature seasoning. It's by Morton's. It's awesome. Oh my gosh, this stuff is amazing. So we're just gonna sprinkle some of that in there. There we go. Just a touch of this and touch of that. And then bouillon cube. Now don't worry about crunching it up or making it to where it is like flattened or anything, or broken apart or anything, because it will melt. I just break it in half and it'll do its thing. So then we just turn our burner on to medium high. Where's our spoon? Excuse me. Okay. Let's just stir it all, kind of mix it together as much as possible. And make sure I got everything in there. Poultry seasoning, nature seasoning, bouillon cube, celery, onion. Okay, now that that's all stirred together, we are going to get the chicken. So, just check out this beautifulness. And I will be right back with my gloves. Okay guys, so I use chicken thighs for this. They lend a lot of flavor and like a little bit of extra fat content, I guess is the only way to say it. But yeah, I just use boneless, skinless chicken thighs in here. You can use bone-in chicken, it's fine, like breast pieces, legs, thighs, whatever you want to use. But thighs for me make the most sense. So hold on. Okay, let's get this boiling before we put the chicken in. I missed a step. So when that's boiling, we're gonna add our chicken. Okay guys, so we're back over here at our pot. Give it a nice little stir just to make sure that things are cooking well, and it looks like they are. Now once this has reached boiling, we're going to add our chicken and our frozen mixed veggies, and then we're just gonna let that cook until that chicken is done and until the veggies are soft enough to eat, but not like so soft that they're just gonna fall apart whenever you try to pick them up. So whenever that happens, we will get that going when it starts boiling. Then after it starts boiling and after the chicken is cooked is when we will add the dumplings, and I will show you how to mix the dumplings. Now guys, this recipe, there are no measurements. So it's looking pretty good. It's almost at the, oh, see, there's bubbles and steam. Yay. It's almost at the heat we need. This is going to be a very thin broth, I think. It feels like. But we'll see after we put the meat in with the... Okay, so I'm going to get a new glove since I messed up my other one. And we will add our chicken and mixed veggies. Okay, guys, so we got our mixed veggies and our chicken thigh. So what we're going to do is we're just going to open up this chicken and just place it in to the water. I only have 4 pieces because there's 3 of us. But you use as much or as little as you want. Place it in the water. Take off your glove. Shoo away the dog. And then get your scissors if you need them. Cut open the bag of frozen mixed veggies and just pour them in. Yay! So, okay. As you can see, we have a very full pot. So, see the chicken's already turning white. So that's good. So what I think I'm gonna do is see what happens. Shoot. Just gonna see what happens with, and you'll see how everything kind of started settling and, you know, getting into the water more and things once we had the frozen veggies added. That's what we want. If it doesn't do that, you might need to rethink a couple things. And as always, if you splash a little bit, it's okay. Okay, y'all, so now we're gonna work on our dumplings. Now, our recipe says, mix bakey mix with poultry seasoning or any seasoning until it is really wet with milk, like sticky biscuit dough. And spoon it over the chicken to cook until fluffy. 10 minutes on medium low for 10 minutes uncovered and then 10 minutes covered. Guys, it's not a real precise science. Cooking is not precise sometimes. Baking, you have to measure everything. Cooking, just do it until your ancestors say stop. So, just gonna pour some of this in here. I haven't poured out of the box. That looks about right. And poultry seasoning. Again, just until the ancestors say to stop. There we go. And then we're going to mix that together before we add our liquid. So just going to make sure that that's all nice and mixed up well. Just going to try to smush out any clumps or anything. I just call it stabbing the floof. Stabbing the floof. Alright. So, now, add our milk. So we don't use a whole ton of milk around here. We do for things like cooking and stuff. Okay, and I always sniff the milk just to make sure it's still good. But we're just gonna pour and see what it does. Big clump. Goodness, did I get it right on the first try? What? Oh, you're kidding me. Guys, I did it. I'm not very notorious for getting this right on the first try. Usually I have to add something, like add some more Bisquik or some more milk. But look, I did it. It's sticky biscuit dough. Sweet. Okay guys, so to check if the chicken's done, I grab a fork and I cut it a little bit just to see what's going on. And as you can see, there's still some pinkiness in there. So we're just gonna take this back and let it cook in the pot for a little bit longer. Okay guys, so as you can see, the chicken soup broth veggie mixture here is ready for the dumplings to be put on. So all we're gonna do is just get on a spoonful, kind of like this, and just plop it in there. Bloop. Just like that. You just repeat that until the dumpling dough is all in here. Now, yes, as of right now, they are sinking a little bit. They will float. I promise you, they will float. So, because we all float down here. And the next one. And the next. Some in the middle. We still got a little bit extra, so we're gonna go ahead and scoop that all together as much as we can, because we know this stuff is very sticky. And we're just gonna whop it. And there we go. So now what we're gonna do, since as you can see, our dough is already rising pretty good. So what we're gonna do now is, first, we're gonna kind of turn that a little bit, and that too, that way the seasoning doesn't all come out. Okay, now, we're gonna get the lid, we're gonna cover it for 10 minutes, and got our lid. We're just gonna cover it, and we're gonna set a timer for 10 minutes. And when that 10 minutes is up, we're gonna come back and uncover it for another 10. So guys, I forgot to turn my temperature down to low, as I was supposed to. So then it boiled over a little bit. So I just, yeah, my bad. Okay guys, our 10 minutes covered is up. So now we're just gonna uncover it, pour out any water, and set it for another 10 minutes. And then it'll be done after that, and we can eat it. Yay! Okay guys, so our chicken and dumplings are done. So we will turn off the heat and let's serve them up. Okay guys, so let's dole some of this out. Ugh. Get a little bit of dumpling here, some veggie, chicken, dumplings, veggies, not more chicken, more veg. Where's my damn veggies? Oh, here's some more. There's more chicken too. Okay, and a little bit of extra broth. And there we have it. Okay guys, there we have it, our chicken and dumplings with our mixed veggies, chicken thigh, and Bisquik made dumplings. So, as you can see, it's pretty easy. It just makes it look really good. So, get some dumplings, some carrot. Well, let's eat. It's hot.